Peter again. So this is episode 6 or therapy session 6. The reason I'm not sure if I'm going to release this one on the web or not. This one is specifically for you. I will be looking at this mainly as a review and reinforcement of things said in the past in order to facilitate and to try to get more reestablish what exactly is the goal in a scenario of trying to treat people, specifically you, or helping you with overcoming attacks with using physical, body, mental, mind, and spiritual belief-based scenarios or weapons in order to combat these issues. So, just to reiterate, the reason I do this and the reason I have seen success and seen people that have had almost miraculous type responses from doing this is because throughout my care, which started out mainly physical, you'd respond physically to a physical issue. And as time went on, it didn't seem that the healthcare industry was in any way concerned about the cause of the issue. They just wanted you to treat the symptoms. The mental aspects of it started making a lot of sense. Positive reinforcements, you've heard those different things. But also even reinforcing our own ability to see, as it were, our progress, if there's progress, or the lack thereof. And as you well know, if you're going to fight these things, fighting blind is not impossible, but highly, you must become much, much more skilled if you're going to try to fight blind than fighting at least with your sight. Belief then plays a primary role. As I started implementing belief into the scenario, God started showing me how miraculously and how beneficial this is. And then it became very clear that the more I did this, the more the deep state pushed against it. They didn't want that. At first, it was very subtle, the pushes, but later it became very aggressive. To the point where merely mentioning God in a treatment scenario would often cost me the patient contracts and sometimes even severe punishments. So that being said, I also realized it was because it was true, and that's what they didn't want, and thus made it very clear why a lot of medicines were named after spiritual entities, demonic entities. It's true. Why it made sense that they use dark, almost dark arts substances that have been tied to black magic for centuries, and they put it in the medicine when it has no physical benefit whatsoever and only can harm people. Now that makes sense why they do have a negative or a curse-like component. So as we review 6 today, the 6th visit, the 6th treatment, if you've gone this far, hopefully you'll go further. It's important to know that for people as yourself, the near-death experience is very much coupled with this kind of situation. All of these attacks are meant to kill us. It doesn't matter what they are. They have a nefarious component behind them, and they are meant to kill people. The situations that happen, but if people don't, but of course, God only decides who dies and who doesn't. So while he'll let the devil attack us, he will not let him take our life. So there's an enormous amount of structural damage that can take place to our body the longer the attack is allowed to happen. Obviously, if we can thwart the attack even before it actually hits us physically, because we, through our senses and through our experience, can thus begin to see it coming, as it were, that then allows us then to stop the attack before it happens. You know this from fighting, okay? The senses, the reactions, the reactions, meaning our symptoms, can oftentimes fire before the attack actually takes place, because our body recognizes, as is in PTSD, surrounding environmental scenarios that remind us of things that had happened, that something negative has happened to the tissue in the past, whether it be a sound, a smell, a taste, a touch, a vibration of some sort of whatever. And our body senses this, and then it thinks it's being attacked again. And then it will cause us a PTSD, like not only will it cause us to have fear, increased heart rate, adrenaline reaction, etc., it will also cause symptomatic manifestation. Swelling can take place. Pain can even flare up in advance to the attack. You know this too. 6, why is this important? Why do we need a review? Because it is usually what happens with people when they get into this therapy. They're all gung-ho to start with, and they're ready to believe, like going to church. They're eager to learn more. And then the real, not real, the physical manifestations of everything around us, of our responsibilities, of our work, of the normal daily lives, start overwhelming us. And we see that overwhelming pressure as a reaffirming of what we've been brainwashed to believe, that physical is everything. So physical becomes dominating in our psyche again. We start worrying about our problems. That's why the enemy always loves to hit us the day after we have great revelation, great experiences, great miracles happen. He can't stop the miracle because it comes from God, which could be knowledge, could be wisdom, comes in. Can't stop that. So he waits till that comes. Then he hits you the next day with a new problem. Your dog gets attacked, or your mother slips and falls, or your girlfriend suddenly has problems, or whatever, financial woes, a bank account suddenly is locked up, whatever. And that has a tendency to take our mind off the spiritual and put it back on the physical. Okay? So what I want to talk about today is 2 things. It's important that we, as we move further down the therapy, we readdress these components that we've learned in the past in order to reinforce, as it were, our experiential experience, our our healing experience. We can remember it and experience it again and remember it for what it is. People have, like I said, a tendency to, if they don't feel an enormous amount of improvement, an enormous amount, they forget about the little improvement that they've made. But at the same time, we're going to load it up for you specifically. Okay. Everything that happens to us is all made of the same energy. It's very small physical. It's experiential. And it has a belief-based, infinite spiritual component in comparison to the small physical in our universe, in our specific universe, David Nino's, my Peter Colla's universe, etc. And we want to use physical, experiential, spiritual components to combat these attacks, which will happen. We are in an end times war. You being a frontline fighter, myself being one as well, I fight with patients, I fight with people I'm fighting on their behalf in the spirit realm when I'm taking on these sicknesses for them. And battles will be won and battles will be lost. That's the emphasis of the dichotomy of fighting a war. There will be people that will win, there will be people who will lose. You will be deceived. People will come in and try to use you. But at the same time, you're trying to get the news out there. You're trying to get all the information out there. And so, yeah, it happens. What we don't want to do is let that become a foothold in order to hurt us further. Okay. Now, I'm going to concentrate on an earlier episode where we talked about the breath of God. So I'm going to reiterate and talk about that a little bit more and how important it is. It is so important. It may be the most important part of the entire healing process from a spiritual standpoint, is what comes in and out of this mouth, your mouth specifically. If you believe that God is true, and I know you do, you've confessed it many times, then that means that he keeps all of his promises. That means that his word is true, that what he says about his word is true, and what he said about Jesus is true, and what Jesus said to his disciples and to people is true, and that the miracles that they did were true, and that the way they talk about them, and that we can do things the same way is true, that we were created in the image of God is true, that God created the universe with the spoken word, true, that if we're created in the image of God and we can speak words, we in essence can create a universe with our words, true. When you speak right now, the universe is so, and I say things that God is good. I just added positive energy into the universe. Godly truth that was there, but now has been put out in the form of physical, vibrational energy. There's substance physicality that wasn't there before. It was spiritual, but now it's physical. Jesus said himself, you will be held accountable for your every word. Not for every drink, not for every punch, not for every lie, every word that comes. The words, it is not what goes in a man's or woman's mouth that makes them different, or what good or bad, and what comes out. That is an expression of their what's inside. So, why is this important? Very early on, I found, and this was when I first started doing this, when I was starting to learn, okay, what does it mean when I pray for people? I don't tell them at first I'm praying. What does it mean when I put my hand on them? I found out when people not only recognized telling them, oh my God, you're doing better today. But when they said it, it actually would register in their brain, in their reality. It's one thing for them to take in a truth, like they're getting better. When they start expressing it, they pass it on into the universe. And now it has gone through them and it's become part of them. It's so important that these truths go through us and are expressed in the world. Now, why am I concentrating on this? You know, I love you and you're my brother, but you're also, we've talked about, I'm helping you with your therapeutic spiritual therapy. One of the things that you have to understand is that this stuff is not who we are. You are not an alcoholic unless you claim you are. You are not sick. But if you say you're sick and you put that in the universe, God honors your ability to create with your words. So important. Now, you can't stop what other people say when they get on your show. Now, it's not about downing you. I'm trying to help you. But what you can do is balance what you say and be careful when you affirm negativity. Example, I read and heard via Judy Byington that they were putting baby tissue in our foods. I believe that this may be the reason that we have so rampant, not only allergies, but autoimmune sicknesses that have seemed to take hold of society since the 70s and have gone crazy lately. I believe that. And I believe that our own bodies have been attacking. They recognize these things and then they kind of see it. But I also believe that that curses cannot attack innocent. Okay. But when we start to believe we have something because some idiot doctor says that this exists, says that you can, and you say, well, maybe I've got this. I think I've got it. Or, if I don't do something, I'm going to get it. And you start saying that. In essence, it's like opening the window and then going to bed. And there's a chance that that creature could come in because you've opened the window with your mouth. The mouth doesn't necessarily make it so. Otherwise, people would just, they curse themselves by saying, whatever, hit their hand, God damn it, and they damn their hand. It's like, but it opens the window for this stuff too. So in spiritual therapy, as you ascend and you learn more and more truths, these are truths, and you pass this on to others, passing on information that you have verified, which you do, and you do a good job. And you also are very good about saying, hey, I have not verified. I want you guys to spot check this for me. That's really good that you do that. Maybe add a little bit, because I'm not going to believe it until I see it for myself or I get it checked that this stuff is happening. We don't want to be helping the enemy create a monster out of a mouse, because we suddenly hear people say, well, I saw the monster. I saw it. It was on my wall. I saw the shadow of the monster. And we start talking about it. Oh yeah, I saw the monster. He said he saw the monster. The monster's coming, monster's coming. And it's just a shadow of a mouse being shined on the wall. Disney's first cartoon ever was a mouse with a shadow on the wall that looked like a monster. And that's what the deep state uses. They uses tricks and manipulations. What we don't want to do is take that and magnify it with our own words. So they say this is happening. They say this is their plan. But it's not our plan. And I believe that the white hats are going to win. I love how even Juan will, oftentimes when you do get a little bit of a, kind of a fly off the handle kind of scaredy cat kind of thing, where sometimes in, drama queen, Anna calls you. I'm not that, I didn't say it, so don't come, I didn't call you go queen, but she said drama queen. But at the same time, you do tend to, throw into the negative. That's building the negative world. So, but Juan's good at, hey, stop it. He's good at stopping that. When we open a lot of doors with negativity, it opens up the doors for attacks. That's what I'm saying. Negativity, when we passing on negativity, it opens these doors. I had a patient, little boy, he had severe congenital issue, walked in like a monkey. And his mother was always so negative about everything, obsessed with the best foods, and kept him, safe, and didn't want him to be bullied, and all of these different things. While his father was like more of a different, he was always positive. The guy was one of the most positive people I knew. And he was like, nah, he'll be all right. He's going to learn. He'll take care of himself. And he's got a great, if they make joke about him, he just laughs. It's like we talk about it. It's like, hey, don't worry about them. They can't hurt you with their. So my point is, the kid ended up being okay. He ended up having a very, his issue was so dramatic that all the doctors and all the specialists believed he would be dead by the time he was 21. Well, he's now in his 30s, and he's very successful and happy. Musician. The father, the mother died young, cancer. She was always negative, always looking for darkness, shadows everywhere on the walls, shadows everywhere. Always afraid, fear. brings that stuff in. And I know you're not afraid of anything, but our words need to be words of strength. Remember whose team we're on. Remember who's behind us. The God of the entire freaking universe is behind us. And with him behind us, who can beat us? That's why David, the great David, could step up and take care of Goliath. He knew God was behind him. He knew it. He had absolute faith. He killed the lion. He killed the bear. I've killed a lion and a bear. You know, it gives you a lot of confidence. You're a champ. You're not afraid of men. Like you said, you know, like, let them come and try to force this on me. And when they come to my house, I hope they come to my house. They better come with about 20 guys. I've heard you say it. You know, you're not afraid. Confidence. That confidence comes from God. See, we know when we put the light, when we see it, the darkness, when we can put our eyes on the real cause, that darkness must flee. We've got the power of God behind us that causes darkness to flee. When we so let's start using our mouth in a positive way. Bless your water, all of your water. Every time you take a shower, words, bless the shower as it bathes my body in healing energies. Bless this water as I drink it, and it cleanses my body and removes all the toxins. Tell it what you wanted to do. Marsara Muda said you could do that, so do it. You believe it's a God-given, God put that ability in the water. We believe in God. Let's use the belief. We're two or more gathered together, whatever you say. I am believing for a rapid, not only justice for all these jackasses that have used and abused our children and poisoned and all, that they get theirs and they all, and I know that's why it's taken so long, because they've got to get them all out of their rabbit holes, or they're hiding, but they're popping up, and soon they will have enough computers, they have enough devices that they take from the top guys, and they get all the little underlings underneath, and they get the whole rat's hole and get them all. And then that'll be that. They can. I know that Trump's coming back. I know that Biden's not Biden. I know that it might look like this stuff's going to happen. It might look like, and maybe they even might push it through, some of this stuff, a variant and all this other plan that they have, mandated jabs and all kinds of stuff. Sure, but I also know that God is letting them do it, AKA Trump, and allowing them so that all the culprits stick their head up. Yeah, it's war. There are going to be innocent people that are going to die. I've had a few patients that one man he didn't even want the jab. He went in with a neck ache to the hospital and they gave it to him. 4 months later, he's dead of cancer. All over his body had tumors. He never had a cancer before that. Dead. Martyr for Christ. He believed. They killed him for what he believed. It's okay. He'll be back. Revelation talks about it. All those people in front of the throne of God. When do we have justice for what they've done? Talking about all the deaths at the end times. He says soon, very soon. This doesn't work. The curse behind it doesn't work when the person doesn't agree or take it themselves, especially people who are not responsible. Your parents are under your responsibility. That means they're not responsible. Doesn't mean they can go off and do crazy things. Of course not. But if somebody tricked them and gave them the mark, it's not going to work. It's like it doesn't work on children. Okay, doesn't mean that if the parent doesn't drag the child in and give it the shot, that it couldn't die from the shot. Yeah, because it's under the parent's responsibility. The parents are responsible. They killed that child. It sounds bad, but it's true. So listen to your words. Remember, our words create this universe. You can report news, but remember, hey, God is in control. They are planning this. They're planning that. They're planning this. It looks pretty dire, but you know what? I know God is in control. And they can plan all they want, but it's going to be okay, guys. It's going to be okay. And you get that, you get some good, sometimes you get these guests on that are kind of, they're all over the place, agreeing with this and disagreeing with that. And then, oh yeah, you're right. I think fear-mongering. The problem is it really stirs up a lot of people who are also on the fence. Just remember that what you believe, you know what you know. You know that God is in control. You know that God anointed Trump. Otherwise, he never got in. You know these things. You know that the jab is bad, but you also know that they don't have control over life and death. You know that God decides. You know that God protects his children and those who follow him. All of those people. You know that. So at the same time that we're warning the people who are still making a decision, like, hey, but hey, I'm giving you guys a little bit of chance here. Jump on the good team, because you stick over there on that side of the fence and, you may be running out of time. Not you, because you're on the good team. Use these powers that we've been given. Our mouth is one of the most powerful tools we have for positive reinforcement in our life. We can create the universe with our mouth. So do it daily. And when you slip up and actually start doing doom and gloom, and then remember, oh, well, okay, you know what? I went down the wrong for a moment, but I do know God is still in command. And you know what? He's got his hand on everything. Everything's going to be okay. And you just buffered it all. Buffered in your life. Don't believe that you have these things. You do not have anything. You are being afflicted with it. Like you're being picked on by a bully. The bully is a spirit. So start fighting back. And by the way, it's just a shadow on the wall. It's really just this little thing, because it has hardly any physicality, if it has any at all. So you are much more powerful than it could ever be, because it has no power in this universe, in this physical universe. It can only trick others into doing its stuff for it. That's why they do that. The devil would have killed us all if he could have, centuries ago. He can't. He would have afflicted us all centuries ago if he could, but he can't. They can't. They have to trick others into doing their dirty work for them. We can use that. Remember which team we're on. We're on the winning team. We got Michael Jordan in our back. It's like going playing basketball against a high school basketball team, and you got Michael Jordan on your team. Come on, You're not going to lose. Doesn't matter how much they throw at you. They're not going to beat Michael Jordan. Come on. Or David Nino Rodriguez if you go into a street fight. Come on. Not going to lose. Got that guy on your team? Come on. They're doomed. They know it. So I hope this helped you today. This is number 6. I'm going to send it through. I'm going to send all 6 in this next email. I hope you send me a quick email back or text me that you got them, so at least I know you received them. I'm going to keep going, making these things till I get to probably till about 10. And then if I don't hear from any, then I will stop. But you'll learn enough from these that you should be able to at least facilitate a large portion of being able to eliminate these things from hurting you, your back, fixing the damage that has been done, fixing the damage that has happened in your past that has caused you to have reactions like PTSD reactions, issues that it may in the past happen in your shoulder. Next time, I'm going to talk about more advanced techniques that allow you to specifically alter the issues, like what I did with your shoulder, where you can do it yourself or to others. That's going to be 7 and 8. So, again, I hope that you get this video and you see it. I hope that you consider maybe coming and visiting again. We got some new recipes I'm dying to try out. Also, cool. And we can, like to see you again, big guy. Anyways, love you. Take care. And that's this. And I'm going to stop the recording.